So hello guys, my name is Clara, and you are watching Anime Recapped with Sonia. Let's start the video. So at the start of the episode, we see the previous scene, where Natalie comes to Ryo's room. But he is not there and Edo tells her that he is in the Northside Library. Then Natalie goes towards the library. But then Ryo meets her on the way. Natalie tells Ryo that Abel and his party have disappeared somewhere in the dungeon. Hearing this, Ryo makes a cart of ice and seats Natalie in it and reaches near the dungeon. In that time Natalie had already told him everything, and then Ryo starts to go inside the dungeon. We see that the dungeon guards stop him. But Ryo makes 2 walls of ice and enters the dungeon between them. Then to go to the 40th floor he uses 6 aggressive jets to cut the ground below him and goes down. Then we see the present moment scene, where the demon prince attacks Ryo. But for Ryo he is very slow and Ryo in one strike separates his head from the body. But then the demon prince joins back his head again, and gets ready for the fight. Seeing this Ryo says that this is a very troublesome ability. Let's test it. And saying this Ryo uses 256 aggressive jets on him, and cuts him into pieces. And from this attack his magic stone breaks, and that demon prince dies. Then Abel says thank you to Ryo. So Ryo says there is no need for thanks. Just give me dinner in the cafeteria area. Abel says that I will feed you for a whole week. Then we see Arthur introducing himself to Ryo, and says my name is Arthur Barras, and I am the advisor of royal magicians, and the current representative of this investigation, and then he also says thanks to Ryo. Then Abel says to Ryo let's collect these devil's magic stones. I want to give their money to the families of the dead people. Ryo asks are these all the devils? So Abel says yes we never encountered them before. They have not come in the central provinces for almost 100 years. Hearing this Ryo thinks that Lanra was calling herself a cum. Is there any difference between the two? Then Ryo says to them when I came here from the 39th floor there was a special field that stopped in between. Abel says maybe it was because of the demon prince's death. Ryo says maybe. Then Ryo says to them when I used probe on the 39th floor I noticed something strange, and it was near the stairs. So let's check it while going back. Maybe it had some role in what happened here. Then we see that they had collected those devil's magic stones, and those magic stones are black, and they had never seen such magic stones before, and there are no records of them. Arthur says I have heard that devils appear randomly anywhere, and because of that it is believed that they can use space-time magic. Then the scene changes and we see some adventurers at a place, and we also see a black orb there. Then we see that Lanor comes there and those adventurers are calling her Demon Lord and talking about killing her. Lanor asks are you calling me Demon Lord? Then Amun says that this place was made with many sacrifices, and it is said that the Demon Lord appears here. Lanor asks them and who are you people who summoned this Demon Lord? So that adventurer says I am Hero Roman, and I will kill the Demon Lord. Hearing this Lanor becomes happy and says if you are hero then surely you will be strong. So come entertain me. Saying this she attacks Roman but then in the next scene, we see Lanor's sword piercing through Roman. And Lanor is very disappointed in him. Then a girl comes forward to attack her. So Lanor suddenly comes behind her and says you can attack me if you want, but then I will also fight back. You should go and save your hero. Then Lanor looks at that sacred black orb and collects it. Then Lanor says to them that I am not Demon Lord. So that girl says but you are very strong. Then Lanor says I don't know how to answer this. Then she says to them that if we work together then you can defeat the current Demon Lord, and you should also know that there is a human who is as strong as me and his name is Ryo. Then she says to Roman that you should become strong. At least you should become the strongest human. Heroes don't normally appear. Roman says is there really a human stronger than me? So Lanor says he is 10,000 times stronger than you. You still have a lot to learn, and saying this she goes away from there. Then the scene changes and we see all the adventurers returning back, and then we see that on the stairs they find that black orb. They check it and Arthur tells us that some time ago mana was coming from it. Then he puts it into a barrier bag so that mana can neither go inside it nor come out of it. Then Arthur keeps it for evidence and then they start to go back and Ryo says to Abel that I need some information from you. Ryo says that you had said that in Lon there is a very good curry shop so give me its address. Abel says that I will take you there myself and give you a treat. Hearing this Ryo becomes happy. Then we see that all of them come out of the dungeon and Abel says thanks to Natalie for sending Ryo into the dungeon. We see that seeing them all safe Hugh feels very relieved. Then he says to Ryo that guards said you ignored their order and entered the dungeon. So Ryo says sorry to him then Arthur says to Hugh that we all are safe only because of Ryo. Then Arthur takes Hugh inside the tent and tells him everything. He tells him that there were almost 50 devils and among them one demon prince too. That demon prince had almost killed Abel. But then Rio came there. Arthur asks him who exactly is Rio. Rio says that I only know that he had helped Abel return from Malefic Mountains beyond. Then Arthur tells him that that demon prince and his companions were killed by Rio in a blink of an eye. Arthur says that for now nothing is more important for our country than staying on his good side. But if those foolish aristocrats start messing with Rio, then it could be bad news. But whatever he did, I will not leave any record of it. Hugh says that even in my reports, I will not write anything about him. Town of Lawn also would not want to make him their enemy. Then we see Rio, Niels, Edo and Amon running. But those three are far behind Rio. Then the scene changes and we see that Rio is feeling quite restless. Then he smells a very good fragrance. So following that smell he reaches a restaurant. Rio sees that Sarah is there. Sarah says to him, did you also know about this place? So Rio says, I just came here by the smell of curry. Sarah says this is the best curry place in Lawn. Then Rio orders 1 plate of curry, and then Sarah also orders 1 plate of curry. Then Sarah asks Rio, where do you live? So Rio tells her that he lives in the guild dorms. So Sarah says, there live the rookies, but you came to the Northside Library, so you must be at least D rank. Rio tells her that when I registered I was D rank. Sarah says to him that this makes sense because you look quite strong. Then their order comes and they start eating, and they find it very tasty. Then Rio asks Sarah that you are an adventurer, but I never saw you in the guild. Sarah tells him that until now I was working for Royal Capital, and my contract is very long, so I don't go to the guild. Rio asks what kind of contract. So Sarah tells Rio that she is swordsman instructor for Margrave Loon's Knights. Then she asks Rio, do you have some work now? If not, then will you do a mock battle with me? Then we see that the scene changes and we see both of them in an arena. Both are ready for the fight and Sarah says to Rio that when you came to the show I felt a lot of frustration from you. Your wish to fight was not fulfilled. Then Rio asks her, how do you know that I use sword? So Sarah says that seeing your posture and the way you move I knew it, and also because I also use both magic and sword. Then Sarah happily hugs Rio and says, you are very amazing. I was using wind rub and still you defended against me. This was very incredible. Rio says that I just used what my mentor taught me. Sarah says, so the Fairy King taught you to fight. Rio asks her, how do you know the Fairy King? Sarah tells him that elves are half fairies. So they can know it at intuitive level. Sarah says that Fairy King taught you to fight. This is very fascinating. She tells him that Fairy King is like a legend. Then a maid comes there and says to Sarah that it is time for Master Alfonso's lesson. Hearing this, Sarah says to Rio that I have to go to train the grandson of the Margrave. And then she says to that maid Relida that this is an adventurer Rio. He is important for me. So drop him home. Saying this, Sarah leaves from there, so Rio also starts going back. But then we see Hugh in a carriage there and he says to Rio to get in his carriage so that he can drop him home. Then we see both of them in the carriage and Hugh says to Rio that Arthur told me everything. But still ignoring guards' order, you cannot enter the dungeon, and that's why for punishment I have a job for you. In this job you have to make a round trip. You have to escort some merchants to their destination